All right, I think we're live now. Okay. All right, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate both of you showing up. And crowd's kind of down tonight. Not sure what that's all about. Everybody's getting all psyched up for the summer series that starts next Wednesday night. So uh, we do have the summer series going to begin next week, and it should be really encouraging, exciting, upbeat, beneficial series. It's called Reasons to Rejoice, and every evening of the summer, every Wednesday evening of this summer will be something very positive about reasons to rejoice that we'll be talking about. And our first speaker that's coming in is Brother J.P. Flores from Tampa. He'll be with us next Wednesday night. And so be sure to make your plans to come. And if you can bring somebody with you, bring them along as well. Be a beneficial time for them to be with us. Two announcements I want to make real quick. Number one is Randy and Modine Blocker. If you keep them in your thoughts and prayers, Modine was moved into hospice care. And so I know Randy's having a difficult time with that. Also, I got a text right before coming this evening that David Woods was taken back to the hospital today. This is his third time that they've taken him back since his surgery. And so the Campbells were on their way up to Jacksonville to go be with the family. So if you keep David and the family in your prayers. Anything else that we ought to mention before we pray tonight? Feed the preacher. Okay. I don't know why that didn't come to mind. I should be thinking about that constantly. Melissa feeds me all the time. No, it's the summer series speakers. There's a couple of slots already taken, but the sign-up sheet is on the board back, the bulletin board back by the office. And if you'd like, if you'd like to have one of the summer series speakers for dinner, either at your place or take them somewhere, sign up, and then their phone number's there. You can contact them and make the arrangements if you'll do that. All right, anything else that we ought to mention? Let's pray. Father, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for your care, your goodness, your love. And we are thankful for this example that we've been looking at all quarter long of Joseph. And we actually marvel as we see his life unfolding day by day, of his faith and his courage. And as we come to the conclusion of this series tonight, we're asking you to help us, not just to make this an academic thought or study that we've looked and we've learned an issue or an item or two, but to really make it a part of our life and try to be more and more like him as he was more and more like your son. Thank you for hearing our prayers. Thank you for being with us. We do pray for Modine and for Randy at this time, asking you to help them, give them peace and comfort and calmness of thought during this difficult time, and asking you to be with the Woods as well. David, who's had such a difficult time after this last surgery, just praying that things will rebound, he'll improve, and you'll be with the family as well. And you'll guide our thoughts tonight. Bless our summer series that's upcoming with great success, and we love you, Lord, and thank you in Jesus' name. And amen. All right, so we're going to have to move a little bit quicker tonight. Actually, we're going to cover two lessons because I was sick the 1 week, and so we're going to. Well, I'm going to turn. Oh, it's on. Let's try that again. And okay, we don't need the slides anyway. Oh, look at that. Okay, I guess the guys in the back are going to do it for me. All right. So the boys traveled back to Canaan in style, and Joseph had given them carts laden down with great provisions. On top of that, he gave them new clothes to wear. He gave them donkeys loaded with even more good things. He gave them money. He gave them food. And when they went down to Egypt, they were gaunt. They were suffering from a lack of food. Now, as they returned back to Canaan, The caravan is traveling in luxury, it seems. Immediately after revealing himself to his brothers, he asked this question. It's what Joseph asked in chapter 45 and verse 3. Is my father still alive? Or how's dad? Is the question. Yes, he's alive, they told him, but he's old, his eyesight's failing. Verse 9 of chapter 45, hurry and go up and get my father and bring him down to Egypt. There I will provide for you. Chapter 45 and verse 11. So, what an absolute complete change. They go down to Egypt because they're starving. They have to buy food. Dad is very reluctant to let them go again. Dad's very reluctant to have any of this going on. So this time they come back joyful. They come back probably a little sheepish and scared, I would think. So this next slide, let's see if we're going to work here. Okay, the next slide, guys. Dad, we have something to tell you. Chapter 45, verse 26, Joseph is still alive, and indeed he's the ruler over all the land of Egypt. Now, just try for a moment to think. Now, you're Jacob, your son, as far as you know, has been dead for years and years and years. You have grieved over him sorely for all of this time. And the boys come back and they say, hey, by the way, Dad, he's alive. And not only is he alive, he's a ruler. He's a ruler in Egypt. And so, think Dad had any questions? Okay, what are you smoking? Maybe. What questions does Dad have of the boys? Huh? Oh yeah, he doesn't. He just can't accept this truth. First of all, it says he literally, his heart stops. He clutches himself that this news. But what questions come to mind if you're Dad? How'd this happen? I thought you told me before, this and this and all these kind of things. Do you think that the boys ever had any trouble seeing Dad grieve and mourn and grieve as he did? I wonder if they ever wanted to fess up and just, the other brothers, don't you tell Dad, as my brothers would have said, I'll beat the fire out of you. So I have two older brothers. What was in their thoughts? As this whole thing unfolds for them, this caravan, it's coming with all these wonderful things. Joseph is still alive. Jacob doesn't believe it. They've got to be mistaken. This just cannot be as they're leading me to believe. It says at verses 27 and 28 of chapter 45, and the spirit of Jacob, their father, was revived. So they finally get him. His heart, as it were, stopped. He just can't believe it. And they have to convince him till finally it says the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived, and he said to them, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive, verses 27 and 28. I will go see him before I die. Jacob's view is my life will be complete. Okay, it'll be that's all I need to know. Joseph is alive. I just want to go see him. Once I do, that's it. His bucket list had one item on it, okay, and that was to go see his son Joseph. This situation, it's just hard for us to imagine or to put ourselves into, or to try to imagine what Jacob is going through. Well, first of all, the brothers went through the same thing, right? When they went down and Joseph says, "I'm your brother Joseph," and their reaction is what? Can't be. That's not possible. Can't be. He has to reveal himself, tell them over and over again he is Joseph. And so now they've got to go home and tell Dad all this news. Jacob gets over the shock, and finally, okay, let's go down and let's see. I just want to see my son. Okay, guys, next slide. So there's this explosion of joy. Chapter 45, Joseph prepared his chariot. I think that's chapter maybe 46. It could be wrong. Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel. As soon as he appeared to him, Joseph threw himself on his neck and wept on his neck for a long time. So, I mean, this is just this beautiful, tearful reunion. They've made the trip. This time, all 70 of them are traveling now down to Egypt. They're not just traveling with a suitcase. This is everything that's as lock, stock, and barrel. They're moving all of their possessions. Their tents are folded. They're going down, and Joseph is going to take care of them. So Joseph, I said it's chapter 46, 29. So Joseph made ready his chariot, goes down to meet them. Once this hug is broken, everyone's eyes have been wiped now. Jacob says, look at verse 30, and this is a really touching place. Now let me die, for I've seen your face because you're still alive. I mean, I don't know if melancholy is the right word for this, but I mean, it seems like this strange emotional swing. I can die now because you're alive, is what he says of his son Joseph. So this scene it's an intimate, very intimate and personal and private and beautiful. So what feelings does Jacob express? I mean, what is he feeling, do you think, at this moment? Hugging on his son. What is he feeling? Oh, what's that? Yeah, overwhelming joy. I mean, it's just got to be just almost insurmountable. He couldn't explain this. He just holds on to his son, and he's just tears are flowing. He's holding on. Doesn't want to break loose of that. I mean, have you ever been in a situation like that? Somebody you just long to see, long to be with, and finally you have this moment. That's what this is. It's just such a beautiful, intimate, private thing. Do you think there was any confusion on the part of Dad? Any questions be running through Dad's mind? Oh, yeah, Drew. Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Why spoil the moment here? So we'll just leave it as it is. Yeah, I think that's a good point because Dad is so overwhelmed by all of this. But what questions are going to come to Dad's mind now? He's hugging on Joseph. I mean, this is wonderful, beautiful, intimate, personal. What question does he have? Okay, it could have been something about the dreams, possibly. How in the world did this happen? Okay, I mean, that seems like that's got to be the question that's just, first and foremost, how in the world did this happen? Not only are you not dead, not only were you not torn up by some wild animal out in the forest or out in the wilderness, not only those things, but something's happened to you that you've risen all the way to the point that you are a ruler in Egypt. How in the world did that happen? I mean, if that's my son, that's certainly a question that I've got. How did this happen to you? That you went from here all the way now to you are the right-hand man of Pharaoh. Yes. Yes, I saw you a moment ago. Yeah. I mean, you'd want to let's sit down. It's not going to be a 5-minute talk, but let's sit down and tell me, how did this all occur? I mean, now it may be like Drew said, maybe he doesn't even care. It's just I got to see him. That's all that matters. Okay. Yeah. But as you lay down in bed that night, Jacob had to go to sleep that night and think, how in the world did this come about? God was with. Yeah, I mean, certainly there's some understanding maybe of that regard, and they're reaping the blessings after this explosion of joy. So Joseph got right to it. He had more than 20 years to make up for all of this. In chapter 47 and verse 11, I'm not sure if that's what next. I don't have the slides in front of me now. But the first thing he did was, it says he situated his father and his brothers, and he gave them a possession of land in Egypt, the best of the land. Okay? He sets them up in that regard. Chapter 47, verse 11. Now that's nice. The best of the land he gives them. Then, even though the famine is still raging, it says in chapter 47 and verse 12, he provided his father, his brothers, and all of his household with bread. So now he's going to take care of them even beyond that. So they've come down, give them the best of the land, and we keep providing for you, give you everything you need. So for 17 years, Jacob had regular interaction now with his beloved son. 17 years he gets with Joseph. He doesn't just get to see him and die. He gets 17 years with his son. And another wonderful blessing that his father, I'm thinking in those 17 years, a few of those questions had to come up, right? Now tell me again, how did this happen? And you went to what and where and what was this? And you spent some time in jail? How did that happen that you got out of jail? Oh, well, the butler, the baker, you know what? I mean, all these things that Joseph can tell his father. So, in addition, Joseph receives his father's blessing. Joseph got to make his father a promise and seeing that he would be buried back in his country, back in the land of Canaan. Joseph also enjoyed the blessing of introducing his two sons, Jacob's grandchildren, to their grandfather. And Jacob had the joy of extending the blessings that he had to these two grandsons. I mean, the story is just like, you can't imagine this unfolding like it does. If you don't know the story, if you don't know how this all works out, as you read about Joseph's brothers, hey, let's kill him. Okay, well, we won't kill him. Let's throw him in a pit. All right, well, now let's make a few dollars off of this, so we'll sell him to somebody. And now we've just washed our hands of it, okay? We took the robe back to, hey, Dad, could this be your son's robe? You know, I mean, it's bloodstained. Could this be the one? Oh, yes, it is. And how terrible it was. I mean, just, it's unfathomable to think that Joseph has gone through all of this. But God's appointed destiny to him was in those dreams, hey, one of these days you boys are going to bow down to me. And the brothers think, no, we're not. We're going to beat the fire out of you. That's what we're going to do. Or we're going to do whatever we can to you. We're going to sell you off. We're going to kill you or whatever. But that's exactly what happens. So have you known of some who become so embittered in life that they have refused to enjoy what is in life at all? I mean, Jacob could have just gotten to the point of saying, I've lost all of these things. Or Joseph could have said, I've been so horribly treated, I don't care. I'll take care of Dad. The rest of you guys going to, boot you out of here. I mean, he could have done any of those things. But think of the 17 years that Jacob and Joseph had with each other. How does that help you to use your time wisely in the relationships that you have in life? What does it do for you? How should it help you? Let me put it that way, I guess. That he has 17 years he gets to spend to try to make up for all those years he didn't have. What do you think they did, Jacob and Joseph? You don't think they did it? Probably ate together, okay? Yeah, let's sit down again. Let's sit down and break bread, Dad, okay? Do you have some time? Could we sit down and do this, okay? Carl? Okay, the rest of the story, yeah, okay. I mean, there's just to try to think about these kind of things as far as relationships go and how they are and how it built. So, all right, one more slide, brothers, and there it is. So what we need to do is try to remember to enjoy the fruits of faithfulness. Joseph could have become so embittered, that he just didn't want anything to do with the family. Dad really cared about me. Dad would have come looking for me. I don't know what his thoughts could have been, but he doesn't have those thoughts. All right, let me move on. Let's go on to this. This is going to be now the next lesson. Next slide as well. There we go. So a great patriarch is gone. In chapter 49, verse 33, 49 and verse 33, when Jacob had finished commanding his sons, he drew up his feet into the bed, breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. So remember that Jacob, who was Jacob's grandfather? Abraham was his grandfather, okay? And God had made a promise to Abraham in chapter 12 and verse 3 of the book of Genesis that through his seed or in his family, all of the families of the earth would be blessed. This great promise of the coming Messiah was passed down to Abraham's son Isaac. Then it was passed at Isaac's death to Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. He became the standard bearer and of this great promise. And it's carried on through, not through Joseph, though, interestingly. It's carried on through Judah, chapter 49 of the book of Genesis, verses 8 through 12. So when his father died, it says in chapter 50 and verse 1, Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. Now, this time there's a death that's actually in the presence of the other one, okay? And Jacob thought Joseph was dead by all accounts and reports for all those years, but now Joseph sees that his father has passed. His father has died. And what was Dad's request before he died? Take me home. Bury me back in my homeland. Bury me back in Canaan is what his wish and his desire was. So keeping his word, Joseph took his father's remains back to Canaan, buried them in the cave of Machpelah, where Sarah was also buried. Even though Jacob had lived 147 years, which is a good long life, it was the ending of his life that is the very special and treasured relationship. I mean, it's just a beautiful picture here that Joseph gets to be with his dad when his dad passes, and then Joseph gets to keep his word, the promise that he made. Yes, Dad, I'll take your remains and I'll take them back and bury them in Canaan. So, death is truly difficult for most all of us regarding those who are still living when somebody we love dies, especially if it's somebody who's very close to you. And it makes it very difficult to bear the responsibility, the news, the events. The one thing that makes it bearable and possible and maybe even joyful is what? Heaven. And that this person is a faithful follower of God. What was it? Somebody told me in the Thursday class, what was it Phil Robertson said at his passing, before his passing? What was it? Okay, yeah, celebrate that I made it, okay? And rather than crying, celebrate that I made it, that his life had been well lived in that regard. So, what does it say about Joseph keeping his word to his father? I mean, it's all said and done. Dad's never going to know, right? I mean, Dad died. So, what's it say to you about Joseph in keeping his word with his father? He's a righteous man of integrity. I'll do what I promised to do, even though there's no way Dad could even know afterwards that I didn't if he chose not to. He shows himself to be much more a person of integrity than his brothers were, by far. A man who can be trusted. He realizes the implications of his Jewish heritage, and I think he realizes how important that is then to his father. Have you ever made a promise to those, or somebody who is dying made a promise to you? You made a promise, to them as they're passing. I will do this. I'll be that person. That's what's going on here. Have you remained true to your word and kept what you promised? If not, why not? It would be the question, I guess. So there's the haunting memories now once again resurface. Okay, Dad is gone. What do we have left in the story? Huh? Yeah, Joseph and his brothers now. Okay, so now I mean, if I don't know the story, what do you think the story is? I mean, how do we typically end the story? Vengeance. Joseph says, now I've got my chance, okay? Yeah, it's not going to hurt Dad. Dad don't know. It's over. It's Pat. He's gone. So now is my chance. I'm going to show them, and I'll do this. So these haunting memories resurface. Joseph has treated each of his brothers with grace, even though they didn't deserve it. That's what grace is all about. He did make them grovel for a few days, if you remember when they first came. And I think, this is my judgment, I think Joseph was sorting through his own emotions. He didn't know exactly how to deal with this. And so he accuses them. He hides the golden cup. He does all of these kind of, or silver cup, does all of these things to, I think he's fighting through his own emotions. What do I do? I mean, part of him wants to retaliate, show vengeance to his brothers. No, that's not what God wants. But he goes through this period, but still he shows great love and shows great grace to his brothers. He forgives them. Remember, they're scared to death when they finally he reveals himself. And what does Joseph say? Fear not. Don't worry. Okay. I mean, it's okay. I know you meant it for evil. God meant it for good. I mean, it's really the point that he makes with them. He forgives them. He provides for their needs. In fact, he rewards them and he treats them like royalty. Gives them the best land, best of the land, and takes care of them. So after Dad's death, I'm guessing as these brothers, this lightning bolt hits them. Okay. What if all this has been a show just for Dad? I mean, they must have thought something along that. What if Joseph's been nice to us because he didn't want to cause Dad any more grief? I haven't heard from him after the funeral. Do you think he's plotting our revenge? It's clear that the brothers had similar thoughts. We don't know exactly what they were, because the sacred historian says this in chapter 50 in verse 15. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, perhaps Joseph will hate us and may actually repay us for the evil that we did to him. So it's not like the brothers were just ignorant, or the brothers thought, hey, no big deal, everything's over and gone, it's done, it's past. This is all history, ancient history, don't worry about it. Dad dies, and their first thought is, uh-oh. Okay. Well, yeah, but I mean, you got to think, like they're said, like, I mean, now that Dad's gone, was it made? I mean, they could be. I mean, they are just dumb as a post, and can't figure it out. Yes, they will. So will public ones, but yes. Okay, never dealt with it, really. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they just stored it up, kept it hidden, kept it suppressed. Okay, Mickey? Right. Right. Well, yeah, like Drew had suggested before about, I mean, how many details, if any details, were given, or just, hey, Dad, guess what happened? we just happened to find Joseph. Well, I know. Well, the rest of this is a little bit foggy. Don't worry about it. He's okay. Drew. Right. right? Right. Yeah. I mean, because you certainly couldn't blame Joseph, could you, for saying, okay, now Dad's gone. Okay, you're going to all end up in jail, or you're going to be punished, or whatever. I mean, you could understand that in the sense of saying that's how the greater populace would treat their brothers in that regard. He is an outstanding man as far as his integrity is concerned, as far as his understanding. He has a concept of who God is and what God wants in life and wants out of him and wants out of them. No, I know you meant evil, but see, I'm going to step in and I'm going to do the right thing, is Joseph's attitude. And I'm going to show you and be this person. But again, their thought, what if he holds a grudge? Or as the New American Standard translates it, perhaps Joseph will hate us. He may actually repay us for the evil that we did. I mean, this may actually come back on us. Okay? No one could blame him if he did that. They deserved it, right? They deserved that kind of treatment, and they knew it. And so, I mean, it is this gracious brother of theirs who's allowing this to pass. Melissa? Yeah, they certainly do know they did wrong. I mean, there's not a question of that. That's a good thought as well on that regard, as to how we deal with grace. Because I maybe I can't speak for you. I struggle with grace. How is it that God could forgive me of all of the stupid stuff I've done in my life, all the wrong things, even when I knew it was wrong? Not like I was just ignorant. But I knew this was wrong and did it, and to think that God would forgive me and God would allow me to be pardoned in that. But they're fearful for their lives. Look as it goes on. They send a message to Joseph saying that before his death, their father begged Joseph to forgive them. Now, we don't know if that's really the case or not. Okay? I mean, maybe Jacob did have that thought, okay? But what are the brothers doing here? Anything they can to try to protect themselves, right? They know they've done wrong. They know they deserve to be punished. They know they don't deserve any grace at all. And so they now say to him, please forgive the trespass of the servant of God of your father. And they fell down before his face, and they said, behold, we are your servants. You see the elements of the dream again played out at least a second or third time. Now they truly are, we are your servants. Please, we don't have anything we can stand before you with other than just our plea. So how could Joseph have responded to their statement or to their plea at this point? What could he have done? Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's scrap that one. Okay. Okay, yeah, he could have said, that's interesting because Dad never in 17 years, and we had dinner once a week. So, and he never said that to me. And he had plenty of, okay, that certainly could have been an option. What else could he have done? Yeah, Richard? Well, right. Right. Not that we know. We don't have any recorded aspect of them act, although except in the final thing of them saying we are your servants, but not actually of saying, hey, we sure messed up and we shouldn't have and we did this and this and this. So you're right. I mean, there is no no record of them actually repenting, apologizing, any of those things. It's just a matter of okay, here it is. Hey, by the way, Dad said, and so because of his respect for his father, oh, well, if Dad said that, he'll concede. Mike? Okay, hadn't thought about that, but yeah, certainly there'd be a lot of things. I mean, I think Linnell's right in the sense of when you don't deal with something, I mean, you see a boogeyman behind every corner, and that's kind of what's going on here. And so, I mean, but they don't have anything they have nothing to put before Joseph other than Dad said this, before he died, he told us this in hopes that Joseph would say, oh, okay, well, since Dad said that. But I mean, he could have killed him, he could have put him in jail, he could have done any number of things that he wanted to. So Joseph does the unthinkable. Chapter 50 and verse 17, Joseph wept when they spoke with him. I mean, he was overcome, okay? This goes to what Shelley said. I mean, that as far as he was a good and godly man. The brothers, are they just so ignorant that they can't see this? I mean, they beg of him, and Joseph is overcome with emotion of just, guys, don't you get it? Don't you get it? I mean, that's really what he's saying to them. I mean, he's overcome. He's weeping because they're going through all these gyrations to try to get forgiveness from him. Right, exactly. Then that actually, and it does come up in that thing. It's one thing to do the right thing, and it's another thing to have an emotional connection to it that shows the reality. I mean, Joseph is truly moved. It's not like, okay, I should do this, so I'll do it. Okay? I mean, we can sometimes do the right thing reluctantly, but Joseph says, I can't believe you guys still feel this. I mean, he's just emotionally connected with them. No, this is not who I am. Okay? Then he goes on to say, at verses 19 and forward, do not be afraid, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring about, as it is this day, to save many people alive. Now, therefore, do not be afraid. I'll provide for you and for your little ones. And it goes on to say, and he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Man, Joseph is an amazing person. Yes, ma'am. Right. 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 But don't we often feel the opposite of that? Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's well, sure, it absolutely is. I mean, I think it was just a brilliant idea. The guy who decided to study this quarter, talk about Joe. But I mean, Joseph is an amazing person, and I think we sometimes, we pass over because we know the story. And I think that's, I mean, what I've been challenging you all along is just to read it one verse at a time, one day at a time, like you're Joseph. I mean, Joseph had the opportunity to feel all the same things we feel, and don't think you're going to get away with this. You treated me this way, you did this and this and this and this, and I have the power to do something to you. I'll show you what I'll do. I mean, that's how a lot of us act or react. Gary? Explain. What do you mean? Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and they are thinking that. I mean, his statement that I'm not in the place of God. God's going to deal with this. And there is a statement, it's kind of almost a little bit of a, that you get from him saying this. I'm not in the place of God. God, you have to deal with God on another level, okay? But I'm not going to punish you. I'm not going to, in fact, I'm going to do the right thing by you. And he speaks kindly to them. I just think that had to be a hard thing to do, okay? To do the right thing, okay? To speak kindly to them, well, that's going to be a little tougher. To do it in a way that you now are weeping, you're emotionally connected to these brothers, okay? It's just an amazing situation of how he responds through all of this. So Joseph reached down and he lifted his brothers up. Look in chapter, move into the New Testament for just a minute. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 as we're finishing up. 2 Corinthians 1, beginning at verse 3. God is our merciful Father and the source of all comfort. He comforts us in all of our troubles so that we can comfort others. When they are troubled, we are able to give them the same comfort God has given us. For the more we suffer for Christ, the more God will shower us with his comfort through Christ. Even when we are weighed down with troubles, it is for your comfort and salvation. For when we ourselves are comforted, we will certainly comfort you. Then you can patiently endure the same things we suffer. We are confident that as you share in our sufferings, you will also share in the comfort of God. There's a sense in which Joseph understands this principle, this concept, or this passage hundreds and hundreds of years before it was ever written, okay? That Joseph is comforting them with the comfort that God has given to him, okay? They didn't deserve it. The brothers didn't deserve it. He's comforting them. He's trying to lift them up. And so that's this last slide, after doing the unthinkable, that help others to rise up. Joseph has been down. He was put down by his brothers. He was lowered down or thrown down into a pit. He was taken down into Egypt. He was abused in all of these ways. And yet now he has the opportunity to get even with his brothers if he chooses to, but he helps them to rise up, okay? He helps them to stand, to rise up, to be the kind of men that they ought to be. He's an amazing, wonderful example. I hope this quarter that you've thought about it, you looked at him in a different light maybe as we've gone through this, and that you'll go back sometime and just read Genesis 37 through 50 again and just try to imagine what you would do in Joseph's shoes at that time. Because that's really what the key to all of this is. It's one thing to academically understand what Joseph experienced. Another thing altogether to say, okay, why did God write this in his book for me to look at today, thousands of years later, to say, maybe I can learn something from this, and I could be this kind of person. All right, anything else we ought to mention tonight before we leave? What? Nothing less than that. That's right. Yeah. Anything else tonight? All right, don't forget, next Wednesday night,